Space Force is the new show created by Greg Daniels and stars Steve Carell, re-teaming from The Office, and it also stars a ton of people, including John Malkovich, Ben Schwartz, Lisa Kudrow, Noah Emmerich, a bunch of people, too many to name. And it's about a new department of government basically saying, hey, we want to get people on the moon by the year 2024. We want people living on the moon in the next 4 years. A lot of people think it's a joke. A lot of people are taking it seriously. And Steve Carell is forced to be the head of this department known as Space Force. And comedy ensues, I guess. So I remember hearing about this show about a year ago, I would say. I was really excited because I'm a huge fan of The Office. Watch it all the time. I love that show no matter what. Even in some of its crappier seasons, like the seasons without Steve Carell, I'll still watch them. They're not that good, but I'll still watch them. And I was really looking forward to this. I thought the trailers were pretty funny. And I gotta be honest, this show is pretty lackluster. I'm very disappointed in the show, to be honest. Not to say that this show is bad by any means. It's not the worst thing out there at this time. And, there are some good performances here and there, particularly from Steve Carell. John Malkovich is also really good. I think they make a really great team together throughout the entire show. Also really liked some of the other supporting actors, particularly Tawny Newsome. She plays this astronaut in training. I thought she was really good as well. Noah Emmerich, I thought he was a lot of fun as this rival to Steve Carell. He's clearly looking like he's having a lot of fun with his role, and I'm going to mention this later in my cons, but he's given a lot more to do than some of the other famous people in the show. So I kind of hope they do more with him eventually as well. There's some funny moments here and there. I think part of the problem with the show, it kind of starts off funny and then it kind of becomes less and less funny. It's not that they're not trying. It's just more, I'm kind of laughing less and less for the most part with each episode, and that's not a good sign, unfortunately. But there's some good episodes. My favorite episode was the one where Steve Carell has to live with a bunch of astronauts in training for a week as part of a simulation, which is that was kind of funny, I guess. For my issues with the show, unfortunately, the trailers kind of showed off its impressive cast. Obviously, you had Steve Carell, John Malkovich, Ben Schwartz. You have a ton of other famous people too, like Lisa Kudrow, Jane Lynch, Fred Willard, and a bunch of these people are just kind of thrown in there. Unfortunately, it's like people like Jane Lynch and Patrick Warburton. They're all and a couple other comedians. They're thrown in there just for one funny line in one episode. It's like, well, I did my time. I'm gonna go. So I kind of felt bad. Also, I kind of really didn't like the use of Fred Willard in the show. Because, okay, they mentioned that he's in the show, so it's like, oh, he's going to appear a lot on this show. No, he only appears in about 2 episodes. And the 2 episodes he's in one scene each. And both of his scenes deal with dementia, Alzheimer's. And that's kind of a tricky subject for me, because kind of get a little personal. I did have a close family friend who had dementia, who fortunately passed away due to that. Also currently have a family member who is in a nursing home for that. So it's not that I don't hate jokes about that subject, it's just you gotta do it right. And if you just throw in, hey, Alzheimer's, that's funny, right? I'm like, not really. And, I feel really bad. Obviously this is one of Fred Willard's last performances ever. And his last episode of Modern Family, that was a better send-off, if you've seen that episode. Also, something I was mixed about overall is that they definitely do a lot of parodies of well-known politicians. And some of them I recognize. It's like, oh, I recognize who that person is. And then you would think that for the reason why they kind of made this show, they would try to bring in someone in politics, someone controversial in politics, someone who's easy to make fun of in politics. And I felt mixed. I'm like, I'm kind of glad they didn't bring someone in, but it's like, I don't know if they should have. And it's like, maybe that's what Fred Willard should have done. He should have been that person, is what I'm trying to say. What else? I guess overall, I kind of just lost interest with each new episode, unfortunately. Like, usually, the pilot's the worst episode. The pilot is usually the one who's like, okay, we can just kind of sow in the seeds, and then it's like, a few episodes later, it's like, oh, okay, you're finally getting to your groove. Like The Office, it got into its groove at the beginning of season 2. But this show, it starts off strong enough, and then it kind of just gets less and less funny. And I kind of found that very disappointing. Also, they don't really explain things too much in this show. Like, or really go into depth, which is something I'm mixed about. Like, there's something about John Malkovich that's shown in one of the later episodes that's mentioned. They don't really bring it up again, and I don't know if I like that. It's like, oh, you address this for one episode, and it's like, part of me is cool with it because you're not really making a big deal out of it. Another part of me is like, maybe you should bring that up one more time, other than it's like, oh, it's just throwaway or something. Also, they kind of have like a time jump at the very beginning. It's like, Steve Carell gets his job, and he tells his wife, played by Lisa Kudrow, it's like, oh, cool, honey. And then, you know, they have to move, and then it cuts to 1 year later, all in one episode, I should mention. And then Lisa Kudrow's in jail for reasons. It's not really explained. Either it's not really explained, or I just lost interest, and they mentioned why she's in jail. But I kind of just didn't care. I also didn't really like Steve Carell's family. His wife, played by Lisa Kudrow, normally I think she's funny. Like, she was one of the few things I still like about Friends. But, yeah, she's not really trying here. Also, I kind of didn't like Steve Carell's daughter, unfortunately, in this show. I kind of thought she was a little too mean-spirited, for the most part. Overall, Space Force, yeah, this was a disappointment for me, honestly. I kind of wish that it had a weaker pilot, because so that way it can kind of like build up to something greater, so it can have like a great finale at the end. But instead, it's just like, okay, it's just getting slightly worse, and occasionally I can laugh, like all those people like Carell, Malkovich, Newsom, and Emmerich. They're all good. It's just everyone else. No, I feel bad. I just hope that with the second season they can get back and get into some sort of groove, because it seems like, for the most part, they're trying to build its story rather than build a story through jokes. It's like with The Office, I can like pick an episode and like quote multiple lines from a single episode, but with Space Force, I didn't think that, unfortunately. I didn't remember anything from this show. Do you remember, like, moments, like, but they were also from the trailer, like, I still go back to that moment where Steve Carell is singing Kokomo, for crying out loud. I think that's hilarious, but other than that, nothing, unfortunately. It's still worth a watch for those performances, and some good jokes, and one or two of the episodes are good, but again, it kind of just gets worse as it goes on, and that's all I gotta say about Space Force, unfortunately. I will give Space Force Season 1 2 out of 4 stars. Stream it. So, I don't know. Are you an Office fan? What's your favorite episode of The Office? Comment down below. Subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and stay safe.